won't get the job at cafe or salon.
No, man, this was really good. Like you gave
Yeah.
like it was. Oh boy, we did have to start a new stream. That's crazy. What happened? What's going on today? I don't know if it's
Uh,
my internet or oh well, we'll make it work. It's no big deal.
it isn't a coincidence.
Yeah, it's no coincidence.
Yeah.
We're talking neoliberalism in Chile, and the United States must not want us to spread the word here in the states. You know?
Yeah. Well, you're next. I mean, you're not only next to Gowanus Canal and all that, but you're also next to the Cato Institute headquarters and all that, right?
Right.
Right. Uh,
Unbelievable. I'm gonna have to. At the end of this show, there's gonna be 3 separate YouTube feeds for this, and it's gonna be ridiculous to have it like that. I'm gonna have to figure out
do
how to.
like you do like a playlist or something like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put together
Get
a playlist. Yeah.
right. Um, yeah, basically, I did like that kind of like but it helped to get like a sort of like a background to this. I think the thing that your viewers, although I've talked to Grimlock yesterday, and shout out to Grimlock, and that like helped a lot to focus me on what to ask and all that. I think the difference, I mean, there's a similarity with Hong Kong, but the difference between regarding the United States, like what I've seen with your viewers and your patrons and all of that, is that the breadtube family is going more towards the left, and over here in Chile, at least Facebook and all the memes and all that are trying to push people towards suspiciously towards the right, kind of like in Hong Kong, despite what Poddam America tried to focus it as a sort of like that there was like the hope of some sort of like a revolution coming out of it.
Right.
So
So
you were talking about like Nazis. There's also like Strasser's, and for instance, people like me and like in Chile and people like Grimlock in the United States, we were like considered like loons because we were like warning people about like fash like permeation or infiltration into the left because they have like a similar kind of like anti-capitalist discourse, but actually masking a sort of like a of of trying to keep the status quo, perhaps with a minor power shift, shall we say?
right. Now, I mean, I for one was warning people about this stuff as well. Like back in, geez, when I saw sort of how the culture wars were being weaponized in a different way than usual back, I guess, with GamerGate, it was
Right.
becoming clear that they were using the whole this whole the perceived persecution of video gamers. The right was using this to basically try to infiltrate young, mostly white males who probably have or would have had more progressive politics, and were being sort of swayed over to the other side because of this sort of weaponization of this culture war with video games. And it was becoming quite clear then how this was all going to go. And I mean, there's nothing I think more, I guess, there's no better way to summarize exactly how we got here, really.
Yeah, I mean, basically, there's like a lot of like parallels with what happened in like the interbellum period in Europe, like in the 30s, and especially in after like economic crises and all that in Italy and in Germany. And what there's also like, I guess, to bring it to the United States, also the radicalization of the Tea Party, where such right-wing populist rhetoric started to get popular.
Right, right. Now let me ask you. Let me ask you. What did you think of the interview? What, did you have anything to add in terms of? Did you think there was anything that you wanted to expound on, or something
Well,
more you want?
yeah, I mean, basically, there's like several things. I mean, there's kind of like the schizophrenia with the media that you can see things like you can see like one narrative on your phone, while watching the TV, spouting something completely different. Montserrat, of course, is kind of like the bad cop in this situation because I'm more, I'm more like sympathetic with the center left. She just sees them as kind of like game wardens for the economic model for the right. I mean, that's why I was saying how the that created like an opening for the Strasserites to make claims of neither right wing nor left wing, but a third position, and they also like kind of ostracize the Communist Party and Marxism because of the complicity, as I was saying in the questions, the complicity of like the center left, and that included the communists and the recent coalition and the socialists and all that. And the other thing that I wanted to add is like that, of course, which she kind of like touched on, that Juan Guaido and all that was being like used by Piñera, because Piñera was kind of like a previous wave, uh, even before Trump and all that. I think on Ecoplex Media on Twitch, I said something about like Silvio Berlusconi being like the kind of like political venereal disease that spread out into the world or something like that.
Right. Now,
And
what
yeah,
what are you seeing? Um, I guess let's move specifically into what you're seeing on the ground now. Where are you? Are you in Santiago?
yeah, I'm a posh rich kid. That's another reason why I don't get along well with Jamal. Basically, I live like uptown, where she was saying that the riots are starting to come up.
Right. So
Uh,
you saw them? I'm assuming in your own backyard.
well, yes and no. What I've seen like recently, it was like that they were like marching towards like where they were planning to head, which was like around the business area close to where I live. That kind of like the city starts to push out towards like the outlying areas.
Right.
Like the rich want to get away from the more like from downtown and all that. Sort of what Amazon wanted to do with Queen City, I suppose.
Oh, right. With the proposed but no longer
Exactly.
Amazon campus. So yeah, in Long Island
Yeah.
City. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, Long Island City. I mean,
No,
yeah.
it's in Long Island City is in Queens. So for
Yeah. That
you're
was my
for
confusion.
someone who's in Chile, a world away, you had it right. I'm gonna give it to you. You're not, I'm not. You were correct. Long Island City is in Queens. Calling it Queen City, I'll take it, buddy.
Right. I know. And I mean, I'm from old New York from the 70s and the 80s. So yeah, it's been a while. Basically, where I live, there was. It's kind of weird because it's kind of like that Edgar Allan Poe kind of story about the Mask of Red Death. So people are just getting on with their lives, and they're kind of like in a kind of like metropolis kind of bubble, but they were affected by the shortages and the curfew and the blockading of the supermarkets. It's kind of weird. It's kind of like Walmart has taken over like the political control of the city, of the life of the city.
Hmm.
So it's basically like when the army was out on the streets, it was like the army of Walmart. It was no longer the army of Chile.
Right. That's
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
it's
it's more extreme to the outlying, as I was saying in one of the questions. It's more extreme on the outlying areas, and that kind of touches out towards like the segmentation of the populace during Pinochet's regime. That he kind of like pushed them to kind of like separated people from their neighborhoods and put people from different neighborhoods to the outlying areas,
right.
like in kind of like enforced suburbs. And that kind of like then translated into urban transportation and how it got systemic. And then this led to lately as these like curious incendiary attacks being coordinated and all that, that kind of like cut off those areas from the rest of the city.
Right. Right. Well,
Right.
Renee, I I thank you for everything you did to help make this show happen because it was great. And I
Yeah,
think we
shout out to the Chileans that are watching this because
I
I
hope
told the people, shout out to Jorge Baradit. I gotta mention that there's also been like what she was saying about the Mapuche. It's been spreading out to Patagonia, and there's been like police repression to those areas, and the Mapuche have taken among themselves to tear down like the old monuments, kind of like the Confederate monuments of the Spanish conquistadors and people like involved in like the power structure in the traditional narrative of Chilean history. So shout out of Jorge Baradit that has written like history books and fantasy novels that kind of like tackle that kind of idea, and it's sort of like gained like reality all of a sudden.
all right.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, it kind of she was like kind of like the precise person because she was like she's kind of like a dissident from the Chilean left, something that isn't like frequently commented upon, like the dissent and the kind of like split that there's been within the left here in Chile, and we can't take it lightly as a kind of like a promise of socialism if there's people running around like trying to confuse the movement.
Well, I hope this episode did the people who are watching it from Chile and you as well. I hope I did you guys proper. I hope I didn't screw anything up. I
No,
hope.
not at all. I was like very impressed by the compilation of information, especially regarding Matapacos and all that, and
Oh well, that
also how
wasn't me.
I don't know. You got the images. I mean, maybe you were like looking at my tweets and everything, but I mean, I
Oh,
guess everybody
right,
loves
right,
a good
right.
drama.
Though, oh, I will take credit for that. That was me. Okay, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah,
Uh, I'm
so of course
actually,
you deal in that kind of stuff.
I'm actually, it's getting that part of the show where you can see me slowly start winding down. I'm like,
Okay, I'll sign off
so
so I
what
can
I actually
watch
want
the
from you,
video.
now that we've brought this up on the show, and I know you listen regularly, not
Right.
every episode, but I'm gonna when I see you in there, and I think we got time and it's important to do. I'm gonna specifically call you out to give me a call to give us updates while this is going on.
Right.
I'll let you know about it. I'll DM you on Twitter in advance to try to give you a heads up. Otherwise, Renee, thank you so much, and see you in the live stream chat, buddy.
Okay. Bye.
All right, folks. Let's read some comments. Oh boy, the comments of this show is going to be super hard to read because of the issue with the constantly dropping feed. Um, we went really long with the interview, which is again I'm super happy. So the as I always say, I always go over with the members show. I always give way more than the time I allot, just like I do with the first half. But I think this one's gonna hit the allotted time. It might even be a little bit shorter, but that's because I gave so much up top. Let's get to some comments here. Zoe, I hope I helped you with your school project tomorrow. What is this about My Chemical Romance in the chat? I saw something about My Chemical Romance coming back, right? But I think it's being brought up in the chat because I saw like a headline today that said like, did My Chemical Romance foreshadow the Chile protests? And I'm just saying, what? What is this? Let me see. I'm assuming that's why it was brought up in the chat. What is this? What? All right, let me read this. All right. A My Chemical Romance tweet. This is from NME.com. A My Chemical Romance tweet from 2011 appears to have predicted the recent Chilean uprising 8 years before it took place. The mysterious tweet ended with the words, well, let me read the tweet. Hola Chile, te amamos, stay safe in 2019. And this was posted on January 13th, 2011. What? It was posted during the band's Dangerous Days era, which was partially built around a post-apocalyptic mythology set in 2019, potentially explaining the mention of that year. However, it seems the band didn't play Chile while touring that album, leaving many to speculate why they specifically directed the message at that country. What the? What? Now, they point out that around that same time in Chile in 2011, in January 2011, there were protests. We mentioned them earlier with Montserrat. So it could have been in reference to that. Maybe they hit the wrong number when they put 2019. They meant to hit 2011. But that is something, right? That's sure as fodder for the conspiracy theorists, right? And of course, they announced they're coming back now. What is this? This is a little bit too coincidental, right? Something's going on here, right? Hmm. Let's go back to the comments. I'm done being silly. I'm too tired to be silly now. Why are you guys bringing up Amy Therese in this? You know what? I gotta get her on the show, right? I mean, I gotta get her on the show, don't I? For those of you who don't know who she is, don't worry about it. If she comes on the show, you'll know who she is. Texasto on Periscope says, is Chile the next Venezuela? They set the police on fire. I mean, I did see that photo of a police officer was set on fire. But, I mean, it's Periscope this person's coming from. And we all know that Periscope is my right-wing cesspool audience. But it's cool. I enjoy the comments from everybody. The Great Dragon says, she looks like the G.I. Joe character Baroness, talking about my guest, and Matt looks like Chris Cornell. I don't know if that's a good thing. Zoe says, why is it that when something awful happens in the world, there's always Cato and heritage behind it? Right. You know, she said it, and I put it in the back of my head to bring up later, and I forgot. But I wanted to talk more about the Cato Institute and heritage. But I guess there'll be another time for that, right? No, I think I misunderstood Texasto on Periscope. Sorry, buddy. He brings up how Piñera is a businessman, just like much like Trump. Maybe I misread the other comments, or I misunderstood what he was trying to get across, or she was trying to get across. My bad. My bad. Again, the comments are messed up because of the amount of times the stream cut out this time around. So he says when she hears chemical, she thinks of Chemical Warfare by Dead Kennedys. Shayna says, talking about the conversation with Montserrat. Wow, in the schools? Wow, inside the metro? That's horrible, says Euro Maestro. When they're talking about the chemicals from the tear gas, right? That is, I mean, it's not so surprising after what we've seen elsewhere, but it is, it's always gross to hear. Magitecker says, sounds like chemical burns in the lungs and larynx. Right. X Nilo says, or X Nilo says, are people still protesting? Are people still protest rushing the subways in NYC, Grim? Well, I can answer for Grim. It seems like that was a specific direct action. I don't think it was a larger movement quite yet. It was a specific protest, basically strictly in response to that video that came out of the NYPD guns drawn arresting that individual in the subway, already in the subway for apparently just beating the fare. But who knows where it'll go from there. Xnello also says that's some bougie ass pizza, the one that Pinheiro is eating, right? Kennedy says, I bet that pizza sucked. This chat is a mess because of the Renee apparently called Montserrat the Baroness throughout the chat. I don't know if that's I don't know what you mean by that. Oh, my dad was in the chat and he let me know the stream stalled. Thanks, Dad. But that's just what happened. Nothing I can do. Zoe blamed the CIA for the for the stream going down. Grim blamed the NSA. Zoe also blames Cato. Lord Irion blamed Trump. It's probably all of them. Oh, and Ryan says the knowledge the deep state doesn't want you to know is being shared in this very stream. Right. So Salami says, I smashed the like button at the same moment the last stream cut out. So then everyone smashed the like on the new stream. Right. Or maybe you broke it. Oh, was it your like that knocked me down? And not the CIA or the NSA or the deep state? Lord Ariane says the U.S. gave them the Chicago boys a la Friedman, just like we brought up on the episode, right? Shayna says, I've only been on Twitter for 7 years. Oh, right, because Montserrat says she's been on since 2007. Yeah, I joined Twitter in 2008, so she even beat me there. Zoe says, I just learned that Chicago Boys is an actual thing and not just a cute nickname. For your class tomorrow, right? Ha ha! Told you there'd be a educational benefit to tuning in tonight, Zoe. We got some talk about Matapacos. Riot Dog, says Dorian. Riot Dog, says Dorian. Right. It was Riot Dog. Riot Dog! That's how this is supposed to be read, because it was question mark and then exclamation. Renee says Matapacos showing up in NYC now, right? I've not seen that, but you mentioned it when you jumped on the Skype too, right? Ryan says, this is a good dog. Salemi says, yeah, good doggo, right? Who's a good boy, says Shayna. So he says, I don't normally like dogs, but Matapacos is a good one. Kennedy says, I love every dog, but especially Matapacos. Matapacos is like is like the ACAB of pets, right? All cats are beautiful, says Zoe. Ah. ACAB, right. I see what you did there. All right. Salami says, fantastic interview. Montserrat is so great. Yeah, she was really great. Zoe says, yeah, great interview. Champagne Kami says, she's so right. The masses are so hypnotized by propaganda. Kennedy says, great interview. Dorian says, thank you, Montserrat. Dorian says, Matt got schooled in this debate. Oh, is it debate? There's no debate here. Champagne Kami says, very educational. Ryan says, same. Hell yeah, give me that fun half. Well, I gave it to you. Here we are right now. Ryan says, Matt, go on Minion Death Cult. I'll tell them to have you on Minion Death Cult. Kennedy says, Matt, come on Bad Praxis. I'll go on any show. Seriously, just message me on Twitter or email me, and I will, let's do it. Oh, but right, Kennedy, you know the deal. Until all 3 members of Bad Praxis are Patreon subscribers, there's a ban on Bad Praxis from me. So I'm sorry. Renee says, Montserrat took you over TMBS, the Michael Brooks show. Right? Did I just beat Michael on an international politics issue? Grim says, Binder over Brooks. Ryan says, doomed over TMBS. Dorian says, it's true. True. Champagne says, it is true. It's true, folks. Kennedy says, at least Brooks follows me on Twitter. Ooh, as always says, shots fired. Kennedy, you know the deal with the Patreon, right? I'll bring it up again. There you go. Renee says, invite Montserrat on Bad Praxis. I'm also banning Bad Praxis from getting any of my guests until they're all Patreon subscribers. Oh, and this is when the other stream went down too. Jeez. All right, let's quickly go through the third grouping of comments here from the third stream. This is insanity. Insanity. Right. I'm gonna have to. There's a lot of things that happened. Now, last week, I told you guys because of Halloween, we were gonna have to delay the show. I'm still working out where that show is gonna fit in, but we're gonna, of course, have it. But otherwise, over the past week, a lot of things have happened. There's the destruction of Deadspin because of the terrible people who purchased Gizmodo Media. What else happened? There's been a number of Facebook stories. There's the situation with, and this is also a Facebook story, but the situation of the leftists running for, specifically who ran for governor in California. I wrote about this. I spoke with him for a piece for Mashable, who registered to file for office and run for governor in California to shine a light on Facebook's ad policies for political advertisements and how Facebook is claiming he's not a legitimate politician because of that reason. It's insanity. And then, I feel like there's the doxing of Richard Spencer, one of Richard Spencer's best buddies, who I just found out I went to high school with in Queens. So, I mean, a lot to talk about. I'm gonna have to cover all these topics on upcoming shows. And on top of that, we got what's going on in Hong Kong that I brought up on this show. We got to do an episode on that. There's a coup attempt going on in Bolivia that I want to cover. Again, other than a show here and there. Haven't really delved much into international politics on this show, but it's really, you know, we're really seeing more so than ever, I think, right now, where it's all connecting, and I think I need to focus on that more in this show. So there you go, and I'm judging by all your comments about this episode, I think it's important to do. All right, just a few more comments, and then we will wrap up this episode of Doomed. Grim says, Gamergators gloating over Kotaku firings when Spanfeller censored them is a clue about Gamergate. Right. Shayna says, some fascist types have been trying to reach across the leftists under the guise of fighting capitalism together. The enemy of my enemy is not my friend, especially if they're fash, right? Oh, and speaking of which, the Project Veritas getting their first ever real actual scoop with that ABC clip of the spiked Epstein story. That's another thing that I haven't really spoken about on this show too much because I wanted to dedicate at least one full episode, if not multiple episodes, to what's going on with the Epstein stuff. Just, geez, so much to talk about. And I only got a episode a week to do it unless we get more Patreons. But, you know, you guys are the patrons, so I'm not going to speak to the choir here. But that's why it's important you guys stay patrons and spread the word about this show. And that way we get more patrons and I could dedicate more time to the show and do more episodes. Finally get around to doing those YouTube clips too. Lot to do. Shayna says they're just another damn enemy. Right. Grim says Gamergate started with hate on Kotaku because of some guy was cucked by a Kotaku writer, if I recall. It's a little bit of that, right? Kennedy says I had some fuck to try to convince me that the right was more accepting of me because someone with neoliberal in their Twitter handle said we should punish the Midwest. LOL. Shayna says I heard Kotaku was going under. What's the deal with that? No, they're not, but I think they were just worried about their future after the Deadspin thing. So they spoke out about it. Ryan says Deadspin forever, right? Solidarity with Deadspin. Kennedy says to stay awake, I should just crack open a Coke. I'm already drinking one. It's not enough. I'm beyond that now. Wait, My Chemical Romance wasn't brought up because of the Chile thing? That's what I thought. It was just, Ryan says, no, My Chemical Romance was brought up in the chat because one of your mods is obsessed. What? So he says, our Chemical Romance. What? All right, and Rage Against the Machine is coming back, right, Zoe, right? Ryan says, Matt, yes. Kennedy says, oh my God, LMAO, do it, about getting Amy Therese on the show. Oh, Lord Enrian says, Amy Therese is trash. Oh, if you've listened to this show before, you'll know I've had trash on this show before. Hell, one of the best episodes of the show, in my opinion, is one of the earliest episodes of the show where I got lucky and the Kent State Gun Girl came on. I've been trying to get her back on and it's been unsuccessful, but I think I'll get her on eventually.